Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hot Topics, the show, the podcast, where we create, inspire, and
Transform.
there you go. This is Gloria Goldberg, the founder of the podcast Unbreakable Life with Glory, where I talk about depression, anxiety, and PTSD in a holistic way and natural way to always make you feel better. And next to me, like always, my beautiful co host, Kia Baker.
Hello, everybody. Well, if you don't know me by now, my name is Kia Baker, and I am the creator and host of the Female Veterans Podcast, Women Warrior Stories for the Veterans Channel, and success coach at London Real Academy. And if you don't know about London Real Academy, you can find out all about London Real at londonreal.tv or on YouTube. Just look up London Real. Hi, honey. You look beautiful today.
You look beautiful too. We are so red, we so hot, we so fire today.
Yeah, we're on fire today because we are love.
Yes.
And this week is all about love and Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Everybody sending flowers, chocolate, giving the best version of them, like a once in a year, but it's okay. At least they got that.
Well, we strive to be love every day, but if you need a holiday, a manufactured holiday to help you
Exactly.
celebrate it and remind you to be kind to the people you love, then I'm all for that. So
Yes.
I love Valentine's Day. I
I
think
love
it's
Valentine's too.
fantastic. I don't have a Valentine this year.
No?
Mm-mm. My kids,
Not even a cyber Valentine?
mm-mm. Unless you count the guys that keep sending us dick pics, then I
Oh.
don't have a cyber. I don't think they count because I keep telling them. At first I was shocked. Okay. I was like shocked and traumatized a little bit. Now I'm completely desensitized to it because it keeps happening so much. I'm just like looking at them and then I go, okay, let me tell these guys a public service announcement. So I'm literally messaging them that women do not want to see your penis unless they ask to see it, especially
Exactly.
if it's small. So I'm telling them that, and then you get banned. So if you get any cute ideas about sending dick pics, you will be banned and blocked.
But
We
and Kia, what are we gonna do with that? Like, a picture, like a banana, like a phone, a picture of phone. It's like the same thing,
If
right?
I didn't ask to see your penis, I don't want to see it. Let's just
Mm.
rule of thumb. That's like women 101. I just figure either these guys are like pervy or they just don't know. So I feel like to do the kind thing is to educate them.
Yeah, I don't know. I just block them. I don't even, boom, block, boom, block. I love to block. Boom, 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 boom.
Block, 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 block.
Block, 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 block.
Your ass is blocked.
Mrs. Block.
So, honey, do you have any special plans for Valentine's Day? Because you do have a Valentine.
Yes, I do have a Valentine, but this year I just let him to be him created. I've been created other years, so now it's his time
It's
to be
his turn.
created. His turn to be
Ooh.
created.
That's gonna be so cute. I hope
Yeah,
he comes up with something really nice.
I hope too.
I may not have a Valentine per se, but I will tell you, I will be spending Valentine's weekend, at least Saturday night, doing my absolute favorite thing in the world. And that is to see my favorite singer sing live.
Oh,
He's doing another live
yeah.
show,
He's
and
doing
it's
another
for a cause. It is for Alzheimer's research.
one.
So you can
Wow.
check that out if you happen to like Seth MacFarlane. You can check it out at variety.com, the magazine that focuses all on entertainment, variety.com. And it's live. I think it's at 7 p.m. on Saturday. So if
Wow.
you like Frank Sinatra and all those old style crooners, check it out. It's going to be fun. I will be
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
without a doubt, drinking, Oh, actually, I can't drink this time because of my
Why?
course. My
Oh,
course, I'm coaching. So my students can't drink. And so the coaches can't drink either. So this week I won't be drinking.
dry.
But
You need to be dry.
it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, I will still
That's
have
all
fun.
good.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, Kia, I met a lady on Saturday. I think it was Sunday. Very awesome. She had like a foundation that she helped people with depression and anxiety to find a
Amazing.
job, and to help them to be in track of life. And there's funds, money to help them to move on in life. And I
Oh,
met her, and I was like, I love it. And the name is I Can. And I love that because she suffered from anxiety, and that's why she created this foundation, because she knows how hard it is to be anxious and not to like help to find a job. And there's a lot of jobs that they don't understand people like that. So there are some jobs they know they're people like that, and they are like helping a lot of people. And she said we need to help a lot of people, especially with depression and anxiety, that some people cannot go in a natural way, like, oh, like you and me or everybody does. Some people
yeah.
get, it's very hard for them to get out of from bed and go to work. So she helped that kind of like a jump, like a restart to that person, to say, okay, let's keep going. And she like walked through the process with the person until they put the person in the job, and the person is already independent, and she's very happy with she's doing. I'm so
That's
happy.
beautiful. I could shed real tears. That is really amazing work. It's a lot like the ladies at Passageways that we donated
Right.
to them
Yes.
last year. They help veterans do the same thing. They help them get clean, rehabilitate their lives,
Yes.
get them back into work, get them apartments. Like that kind of thing really just touches my heart. And
Me too.
a lot of veterans suffer from depression and anxiety and PTSD.
Yes. Yes.
So
So
this is how our missions
is
combine.
this lady is another angel helping people to be again in normal life. And I said, I want to be part of your stuff. And she said yes. And so we're gonna do a podcast on
Beautiful.
in March.
Oh, I can't wait for that. She's exactly the kind of person that I love to connect my female veterans with too. So let me
That's
know how it
awesome.
goes.
Yes, of course. So we have a cool topic today, and also a very amazing guest.
Yes,
Right?
love. I love her. Okay. So she is a deep friend of the show. She's
Yes.
been on a few times now. I think this is her third appearance. They're always very well received. And she has a lot of really amazing knowledge. So we were thinking that this week, being that it's all about love and caring and treating your partner with beauty and just showering them with love, that we would do our part in benefiting your Valentine's Day by helping you to learn some erotic wisdom. So this week, we're focusing on how to spice things up for you in the bedroom.
Yeah.
So today's episode, we will be featuring Valentina Leo, our friend, Mrs. Love,
Mrs.
and
Love.
she's going to show us how Tantra can improve our lives and can be very, very beneficial to spice up your Valentine's Day evening.
Yes. So let's bring her in.
Let's
I
bring her
can't
in.
wait. We're so lucky.
We are.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, I hope you can see me. I'm in a little bit of a darkness, and
Well,
I'm
tell us
sitting
where
by
you
the
are.
I'm sitting by the feet of a Buddha. Actually, it's very pertinent. I'm doing my own erotic retreat, and it's been so wonderful. And of course, the light is dim.
So
Dim
how,
light is good for
So
a
I'm in South
romantic.
Africa. Anyway, that's a detail I miss. I'm in South Africa. I'm like an hour away from Cape Town in a very beautiful mountain. And actually, the place where I am right now, it's a little chapel. It's a chapel from a farm. that was created as a prayer place. And then the lady told me they weren't really using it a lot. It was going to be the spiritual hub for the people that live in the farm. And then they decided to turn it into an Airbnb. And so they put a beautiful bed and they added a bathroom and a shower. But it's really, really ecstatic. It's like it's got this vibe of being in an old church. And every time I make love, when I open the eyes, I've got Buddha looking at me and blessing my pleasure. So it's feeling really, really particular and honoring. And I'm sure we are not the only couple that is making love in this room. I mean, it's a real place for lovers. So I think this Buddha on the wall that looks like a real ascetic monk. Actually, I've seen a lot of hot topics moving in this room into this chapel. And I think it's so beautiful that in some way it's still the spiritual hub of this farm. And spirituality is expressed as a love affair and sexual expression rather than, linear prayer and in the format that we are more familiar with. Making love is, for me, it's the most important prayer. And so here I've been praying very hard for the heart of the planet. Someone has got to do it,
Somebody's
So
got to do it.
I'm happy to take it on. It's my mission, it's my job. There is so much pain on the planet, so much suffering, so much abuse of women, so much rape, so much violence. And I really feel that sometimes someone has to expand into the pleasure and the blissfulness. And because at the end of the day, we are one body, we are one woman. I just see that I need to connect my computer. Just give me a second. So then I took it on to be the woman that actually engage with pleasure, to counterpart all the women that unfortunately are victim of violence and suffering, So this way we balance out. So I'm happy to take the pleasure. 1 second.
Yes.
Wow. That's a beautiful thought, though, because balancing out those energies of the violence and all of the, the harshness and the, things that are just not light and loving and happy, and then balancing that out with beauty and pleasure. That's gorgeous.
It is.
And it's the best way, because if we engage with more pain, we're not really supporting the ones that are in pain already. They don't need us to bring more suffering, It's like one time my friend, she's always been struggling with money. She told me, I really hated when rich people pretend not to have money, not to make me feel embarrassed. Actually, I don't have money, but if you do, enjoy it. Spend your money, have a good life. And in that way, you honor me, because if I had the money, I could have a better life. And so I think it's the same with the pleasure and pain and suffering. And sometimes we feel, in a lot of religions, pain is glorified and suffering is glorified, is honorable. We grew up watching Jesus on the cross in pain since we are little children. And so to have a life that is imbibed with suffering is honorable. But from the tantric perspective, suffering is just suffering. It's not honorable. It's just suffering. And sometimes, it's some sacrifice is required, but to just choose suffering over pleasure, because we were told that suffering is more spiritually elevated, and pleasure is the play of the devil. I feel it's so outdated, and we know that when we engage in pleasure, we bring more pleasure in the field of consciousness that then touch everybody on the planet. And so it's an offering that we can give to humanity. And it doesn't mean that we ignore the people that are in suffering, but I'm sure the women that are violated in the Republic of Congo, perhaps, they wouldn't want us also to be in sorrow and and spend time, in unnecessary suffering, I'm sure they would be joyful that
Right.
at least we that are free, that we can really enjoy our life and enjoy our body. And in this way, we do it for them too. And then eventually, as we are one body, is the body of the planet, they will bring space for a little bit of everything to balance it out. I think it's really important.
I have a question, Valentina. When you say pleasure, pleasure, it can mean a lot of different, nomination about pleasure. And I know when we grow up, like me, like coming from a Latino background, they are very close-minded, and the pleasure is very limited. And some pleasures are not allowed to happen because, oh, like you said in the beginning, oh, that's the devil thing. You should not be doing that. How,
Yeah.
as a woman, when we grow up with that kind of taboo around us, how we can just start like to know what is the right pleasure that we can have?
Well, I think every pleasure it's a blessing, because when we are in pleasure, we relax and we expand and we are connected. If you have an experience when you make love, for example, we call it the pillow talk. The conversation that happen after a love making is so much more tender and truth and spontaneous and honest. And maybe the conversation before was full of trick for being liked, to seduce, to belong. And after pleasure, the body, it's really more connected to what's happening in the present moment. And so everything that brings you more connected to the present moment and what you're really feeling in this moment cannot be bad, because it doesn't harm anybody, really. And so I think these taboo are really old form of education that was designed to control everybody, not just women, but particularly women, because women are powerful, and a woman in pleasure, it's even more powerful and much more difficult to control. She's free and she doesn't take direction. She creates initiate things. And so in the old days, that wasn't really cultured. They didn't want women to have too much power. And so the best way to take power away is to take pleasure away. And when you're not in pleasure, you feel disconnected. We start doubting everything about ourselves, that we belong, that we are good enough, that we are intelligent enough, that we are clever enough, that we have a rightful place. And when there is doubt and dissociation, then we can be controlled because we're fearful. And so I think it's very important that we start cleaning back and pleasure in the little act, daily life, having a hot bath, at the end of the day, because it's sensuous, not because I need to clean myself up, but because I want to feel my nakedness in the water, and the water, relax the emotion and bring wisdom. And you can throw petal of flower in the water. I love bathing in flowers, Throw a
Me
lot of
too. It's my favorite.
garden. It's beautiful. And then I
Mhm.
feel like a queen and a princess. And then you can pleasure yourself in the bathroom, which also doesn't mean to bring yourself to orgasm and to stimulate your genital, You're stroking the whole body, for example, from the tip of the toes to the tip of the hair, reconnecting with this whole body and holding myself underneath my own hand to feel this one. This is pleasure for me. It's pleasure to be in the sun and feel that I can expand my body and really be penetrated by the heat of the sun. And so I practice my ability to surrender. Like I surrender to a lover, I also surrender to the heat of the sun. I surrender to the wind that stroke my skin. I surrender to the smell of the flower. There are so many opportunities to engage with our sexuality that creates subtle pleasure. It doesn't have the big screaming orgasm, sometimes there are very powerful pleasure that are underestimated, and we lose connection with. We look in for the multi-orgasmic woman. It's very fashionable now in this contemporary time, that we have to be on top of our games and be multi-orgasmic and learn a lot of trick about eroticism, when the reality is just to learn to enjoy of everything that is surrounding us. Because, in the tantric tradition, the body of woman is called the body of love. We are the expression of love. And so one suggestion is that to fulfill your purpose as a woman is to recognize that you've been anointed with the pleasure purpose, that the body of woman is so ready to feel pleasure. Perhaps, this is a suggestion, we don't know for sure, but perhaps as a purpose for incarnation, is to really learn how to enjoy the pleasure of life through our body. So the senses, touch, smell, taste.
Wow. So,
And then from that you're developing sexual pleasure more, in the bedroom, in the eroticism, in the erotic encounter. But before you get there, I think it's really important that we learn to sensitize our body and to really learn to receive the gift of this life.
yeah, I'm gonna say this to you, and I know a lot of women my age and a little bit older, they talk about masturbation and they said that they never masturbate themselves. And I look up there and I said, how come? And they said, I don't know. It's like that area is like, I said, how come? And they are like I'm gonna talk about a particular of my aunt. My aunt have a long time she don't have no connection with her body, and she is moody. She is have a lot of pain in her body. Everything hurts, and we already told her you need to release that. And she said, no, 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 no. It's like a taboo for her. So what do you can tell women that are like that they want to rediscover themselves at the age that we are? Because some women are 50, 55, 60, they don't know who they are.
Yeah, this is a reality. I'm 50 and I feel I just start on my sexual journey. I feel that my sexuality is deepening, like much more than my 40 and definitely way more than my 20. It's because my awareness about life is deepening. And so I really feel, sexuality is something should never end. We have this idea that when we become old, we stop having sex. And that's when women become moody and bitchy and dry peaches
Yeah.
and they complain about everything all the time. And because they stop engaging with life. When you stop being sexually active, you stop engaging with life. And that's how life force move in the body. And as you said, they've got pains and ache, and they spend all the time talking about their pains and ache. And
Yes.
somehow it becomes their identity, something that is comfortable and familiar with. And if you stay engaged with your sexuality, you keep engaging with the mystery, because sexuality is it's constantly revealing more of yourself to yourself. So for me, it's the willingness to love yourself. And I know that in the Christian tradition, this is considered a big taboo. It's considered very selfish. You should love your neighbor more. You should be a charitable person. And from the tantric tradition, this is completely absurd, because if you don't know love in your body firsthand, if you don't have this resource inside of you, how can you give it to anybody? You cannot give what you don't have. This is a fact. We all agree with that. So if I don't know how to love me, how do I like to be touched? How do I like to receive love? How can I share this with anybody else's? How can I love my children if I don't know how to love myself? So maybe it's a story that we tell them, but in reality, we teaching them about disconnection and frustration and self-hatred the majority of the time, and suffering, the big suffering of being human. And this is the big disconnect that religion has done to humanity, is the disconnection from spirit and flesh. And so whatever is not of the body is holy, and what is of the body, it's sinful. But nonetheless, this religious mentality brought us a lot of war and a lot of violence, domestic violence, and a lot of disconnection and depression. Because when you disconnect your body from your soul, from the heart of existence, how can you learn to be of this world? It's like we denying where we come from. We think that, you know, in Christian, I also grew up a Catholic, you know, I'm a recovering Catholic. I'm Italian. So I know this story very well. It took me really many years to get them off my body in the cellular memory. And they still come sometimes, you know. Although I've done this work for 20 years, sometimes I still have the voice of my grandmother that tell me, shame on you. Haven't you have enough of pleasure? Why you need more? You know, stop it now. Do something important. You know, and these are all story to really justify. You know, because in sexuality we lose control, and our contemporary world really thrive in control, controlling your life, having control of your life. And so the less sexually we are, the more we can be of the mind and in apparent control, which actually is not true. And so when you separate the heart from the mind, the body from the spirituality, from what is sacred, the body is not sacred, we create an innate disconnection with my true essence. I was saying, you know, in Christianity, marriage is sacred and children are sacred, but having sex is sinful. So how do you make this equation? It's impossible, no?
It's impossible.
So we become disconnected in the brain. We become schizophrenic. How can children be sacred and the act of making children be sinful? No wonder we all on antidepressant and we have anxiety. This is source of great anxiety. You know, how you reconcile this, even in the mind of a child, it's impossible. So in order to reconcile that, you have to deny a part of yourself. And the part of the self that we deny is the body that is designed to love. And pleasure is the tool we have to express our spiritual self. So in the tantric tradition, it's very different from the Christian tradition. It's very freeing in that sense. The body is the tools to express love on the planet. And my genital are instrument for my heart. And my heart takes direction from God directly, without any need of any priest.
We lose her?
Maybe. Uh-oh. Well, you know what happens on a live show.
Yeah.
She's in Africa. So maybe her connection's not good. Oh, good.
You came back.
She's back.
Yeah, be patient with me. Yes, I'm in Africa.
Always.
We are slow and different pace. So, yeah, forgot my place there, but I'm sure we can pick it up again just now.
Of course. Well, we are freeing ourselves from all sorts of dogma so that we can reconnect with our bodies and feel and enjoy pleasure and you know, have a better experience.
Yes, of being human. That's what was the piece. Our human experience is intrinsically related to the pleasure. To be alive should be the most pleasurable experience of our life.
Of course.
And unfortunately, it's not. And so there is something we are doing wrong. Just to be alive in the body should be a pleasure.
A pleasure.
Instead, we so lost in the mind that sometimes is the biggest struggle just to, and we then survive instead of living. And, you know, sexual pleasure is a big part of that. You ask everybody that survive, and then you ask them, do you have sex? They will tell you, no, not really. People that have a very happy, fulfilled sexual life are much more flowing with reality, have less worried, have less anxiety. They are more prone for unplanned event in life. And, we become more supple in our emotionality. And the mind becomes supple in the creativity because you stop being afraid. They did a study on the pleasure in the woman body. And they saw that when a woman was having orgasm, the part of the brain, the amygdala, that control fear, would completely shut down. And so a woman in her heart of her own orgasm does not know the experience of fear. I found that quite amazing.
That's beautiful.
And fascinating
It
and
is.
beautiful.
It is.
And that's why many women can't have orgasm, because they can't let go of the fearful mind. And if they can't let go, orgasm cannot happen in the body. And so orgasm is to live with the experience of no fear, that life, it's a joyful place, that life, it support my expansion, is not against me, but is for me. And there's nothing to really be afraid of. And so,
Wow.
it's the mysterious way of the pathway of sexuality.
So, what is the routine that we should have to have a healthy sexual life?
Well, I think first and foremost to really have a healthy relationship with yourself, to meet yourself as a being in the flesh, not as an idea of who you are. And so surely to touch yourself often, as much as possible, caress yourself, stroke yourself, and look at yourself in the mirror and take some time to eye gaze with yourself. I often teach my students this practice to look at themselves in the mirror and look in their own eyes and tell to themselves, there you are, beloved, there you are. And I was looking for you everywhere. We often look for the perfect lover, for the one that is going to come and give us all we need. And we dismiss this one that is already here. And so to start practicing that the beloved is you, how much time do you give to yourself in the act of loving yourself? And so to do your hair not for the look, but for the pleasure to have your hand in your hair. Every time you put gel or
She freeze
scalp.
again.
Oh, I think she's coming back.
Oh, I can hear you.
You can hear
I
us?
can still
Good.
hear you.
Yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
love the point you were making too, because
Yeah.
I call it mirror magic and mirror affirmations, which is something that I can't get enough of. Like, I love to talk to myself in the mirror, and I often have my students pick up a practice of doing loving self-talk in the mirror, which is just
Yes.
beautiful to hear you say, because it is, given time, it does make a huge difference in the way you feel about yourself. And what I teach my female veterans is that the root to all things that you want to achieve in life begin with loving yourself. And now, once you can find that first initial stage of love, the next level is loving yourself in a more intimate way, right?
Yeah.
Because it's equally as important, loving all of yourself. And therefore, you can let go of control issues, because if you have control issues, you can't climax. You can't have that orgasmic or multi-orgasmic experience. And also, through pleasuring yourself, the more you do it, the more you'll be able to have those orgasmic experiences. So you should do it often.
And I wanted to add to your practice of love talking to yourself in the mirror, and then like appreciating, stroking the face, the shape of the lips, the same way you may like a lover to do it to you, you can do it to yourself, stroking the eyes, the ears, the neck. I'm very sensitive around this area. So I like to touch it by myself, for myself, the back of the neck, and allow this to happen. I spend a lot of time just stroking myself, my heart, stroking my heart, my breast, in a loving way that doesn't have to be looking for the peak pleasure in the sexual experience, but it's tenderness and deep intimacy. You know, and a lot of women look for intimacy in sex. I mean, I think we spoke about this last time. I'm just having a flashback that men need to have sex in order to find intimacy, and women need to be intimate in order to have sex.
Yes.
You know, it's this different way to enter. And so for women particularly, to start culturing intimacy with ourselves, not waiting for someone to bring this space, but how can I be intimate with myself, you know, in my stroking, in my touching, even in how I stroke my forearm, my finger, my hand, that create already an intimate environment with this one. And then when I'm with a lover, I can expand from there, and I'm not just expecting that the lover has to bring it all for me. And then it's a pleasure to share what I already discovered within me with the lover.
That's beautiful. What do you think, Gloria?
Oh, that's awesome. But also, this education needs to be also for men, because also men should be feeling that way, and maybe that way that they desensitize more and be more aware of what they're doing in bed. Because some men, they don't know.
Yes, of course, it's true for everybody. Some women don't know and give all their power to a man that
Yes.
also doesn't know. And at least will be more honest if they both say, hey, I don't know what we're doing here. Shall we talk each other through it? You know?
Hi,
Oh,
Julian.
hi, honey. We miss you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he
And you
says,
know, intimacy with oneself is a spiritual practice, like Julian say, and you know, sexuality is a spiritual practice. You know, to have mindful sex with yourself and with your partner, and then with the world, is the spiritual practice. Is the most important and the most relevant, and maybe even so, the only one purpose that we are here to fulfill.
Valentina, Mrs. Love. So right now there are men and women more awakening in the Tantra, more women or more men or equal?
I think there is still more women that are working with their sexuality and looking to expand their spiritual practice in relation to sexuality. And of course, I'm only speaking with personal experience, so I can't generalize. But in my group, there is always more presence of women. The men are coming, and it's beautiful to see them. But somehow, women are more attracted to self-development work. And
I
in the
don't know what is that.
tantric tradition, then the women are supposed to be the teacher. So somehow it's also okay that the women come and learn. They come to do the work, and hopefully they come home and they teach their partner in the bedroom. They teach by example. They teach by embodying. And sometimes that's the natural way for things for the wisdom to express and expand.
Oh, that's absolutely lovely. I have a question. So, since it's going to be Valentine's Day this weekend, and we were just talking about sort of how men feel intimacy and how women do and how it differs, how can we create an atmosphere to experience the best pleasurable Valentine's Day that we can? What are some steps we can take?
Well, I generally would suggest, first of all, to avoid restaurants and noisy places, because if you want to be intimate with your partner, go in places that are quiet and there is very little outside influence. The waiter interrupting the conversation, the music in the restaurant, the other people to look at, compare with. It's noise. It's emotional noise. It's sound noise. It's visual noise. And you just focus on your lover. So I would recommend that you find place of solitude. And maybe avoid dinner also. I think it's overrated, this Valentine romantic dinner, you know.
Yes.
Dinner, it gets in the way of true intimacy also, you know. So I'd suggest meet in the hot tub, you know, run a hot bath and deep in and start having the conversation, you know, start sharing with each other how you feel about each other. And somehow the water carry truth so beautifully. And I notice for myself that when I have conversation in water, beautiful resolution come out of it for some reason, you know, things that seems a problem. You know, sometimes I do a gathering for women every year and we are 4 facilitators. And sometimes when we try to organize each other over the phone or over Zoom, it's always difficult and dry. And then we meet in a big pool and we all get naked in the pool and then we find amazing resolution. And the festival always planned out very easily, effortlessly. So, you know, I think couple could have more conversation in water that also carries, you know, sexuality and sensuality. And I love this practice, you know, that lover can share, you know, 2 minutes each, and they can begin by reminding each other what they like about each other. You know, sometimes we are with someone for a long time and we think we told them once or twice what we like about them. And it already was 2 years ago, maybe last time we say that. And
Yeah.
you people that are together for 15 years, and we think they know what I like about them. And in truth, no, we don't know and we forget. And even if we do know, it's beautiful to hear it over and over again. And so to start the practice by saying, you know, what I love about you and what I love about being with you and what I love about me when I'm in the presence of you. You know, when you're together with your lover, what part of you arise and awaken that I like of myself, you know? And so I think this will be a beautiful ice breaking in the hot water. And
With some roses and
rose
flowers.
petal in the water, as we said before, you know, swimming with flowers. And then there is a different way also to touch each other, because now you're floating, you know, even if you touch each other, feet and leg and arm, already there is a fluidity. It's not so dry. And so definitely avoid restaurant and have home rituals and have practice of truth. I think that's the best way to remind each other why you are with each other and maybe make new commitment. You know, in the pagan tradition, the couple would marry for 1 year and 1 day. And then every 1 year and 1 day, you would reevaluate your vow for each other.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, and I
I
think
fully love it. It's
I
couple
really
brilliant.
do
love
this
it.
also every Valentine is like and maybe change some agreement. Maybe what we agreed last year now is different. We changed. Everything changed. The world changed. The children grows. We change home. You know, many things change, and we can make new agreement.
Oh, we lost it.
Well, I hope she comes back
She's gonna
because it
come
was
back.
awesome.
You
Right?
know, what she said is true. What you need to eat before you're gonna have a nice, you know, chiki night. You know,
Yeah, I don't need to be too bloated and full, okay?
imagine that you eat a churrasco with potatoes. No,
Really, really full. Okay. And
yeah.
then if you have special dietary restrictions like me, if I eat pasta, now I'm bloated. Now I don't feel sexy naked. And that just is gonna throw my whole
Exactly.
night off. Okay?
Yes.
So
So
no food.
it's better chocolates and champagne or chocolates and
And
wine
fruit.
and
Fruit,
Yeah,
fruit
strawberries
chocolate
and
and fruit.
champagne. Yes, and chocolates. All right.
Fruit
and
is such a
grapes.
sexy,
Mm.
yeah, it's beautiful and it's sexy and make the body happy, makes you feel vibrant. So definitely, I agree with you, Gloria. No heavy meal.
No churrasco.
No
No,
churrasco
No churrasco.
or steak and potatoes.
No, no, no.
Okay, no steak dinner.
no.
Period.
And then it makes you lazy, after a
Of
meal we want to
course.
sleep, and then another things I love to do, it's to dance with the eyes closed, and I mean, for people that are not familiar with this, you can do blindfold dance and explore. You can be naked when you come out of the bath, and you can explore each other body in the dark, for example. So you're looking and you're touching with the heart. Your hand become the expression of your heart, the extension of the heart, not the mind that has judgment about what I like and what I don't like, and oh, you put on some weights, and I really don't like when you do this or that. And in the darkness, it's a mysterious, and there is the excitement, childlike excitement. So you can either both blindfold and find each other through the end and play some beautiful music and have a great dance. That's also beautiful. That's already very erotic in my reality, and doesn't eroticism happen way before we hit the bedroom?
Yeah.
That's the key statement there, I think. And I think there's been so much awesome things that you've said, but I think if you can only retain one piece of information, which would be a loss for sure, but if you can only retain one piece of information, male or female, remember that the eroticism starts well before you enter the bedroom. It's a buildup. It's a process, right? And when a woman feels that intimacy before she gets into the bedroom, it's not like, okay, now it's sex time. Like, drop your clothes. We're doing this.
Yes,
If
exactly.
you have this beautiful buildup to that, she's gonna open up like a flower. Isn't that right?
Yeah, absolutely. That becomes, it's not a duty, as you said, Sometimes we're so bound to the same gesture, and if we go into the bedroom, you take the clothes off, you go under the bed sheet, and then sex somehow happen. It's like a meeting of clumsy body bashing against each other. And, to find novelty, have sex in the bathroom, in the laundry, on the kitchen table, in the lounge. I mean, I always invite long-term couple to have a love room in their house. I feel that's really important. That is not the bedroom and it's not the lounge. It's a place that is dedicated for lovemaking and meditation and dance and truth
That's a good
speaking.
idea.
It was a fun room.
Oh,
The
yeah.
fun
It's a
room,
big
exactly.
kids
The
fun
Very
playroom,
room.
cool.
the playroom,
A playground. Ooh.
Yeah, the
Hmm.
playground.
Should have a hot tub in it.
Yes.
And you need to, Kia, you need to have your that room lock it because your kids.
With a door that leads to an outdoor pool. That's my dream. That
Yeah.
sounds
Exactly.
perfect to me.
It's
Exactly.
called the adult playroom, not for
Hmm.
kids.
Not for kids. Nope.
And you can paint on each other body. I mean, I love to write love letter on the body of another human being. You can do it with brush, and to receive on the body the feeling of the brush is really titillating and stimulating. I don't know if you remember, there was a movie about 20 years ago. I watched this movie called The Pillow Book, and it was all set up in Japan. And this woman had the fetish to paint the body of man with this Japanese writing. It was so aesthetically beautiful and so erotic, and it always inspired me to write love letter. Everything you want to tell your lover, you can also draw it on their skin, and let them receive it that way. That love also have many ways to transmit itself. um,
That is awesome.
It is gorgeous.
I'm gonna go and write a book.
yes,
In
you
my
can write
husband body.
lists, things I love about you, and find the curiosity, and then the body become a landscape. And then after you written on this body, to make love becomes poetry, you know, when you then make love to this body that you've used as a canvas. It's a very different relating than the maybe personality you know so well, say, of your 20 years partner or husband or wife. And now it's like a living painting. You know, we have to find ways to create novelty in long-term relationship. I think that's really important to culture desire. You know, desire is of the unknown. And if we know it, you know, it's not so desirable. It's you know, if you think about it also, there is a lot of the erotic desire for the people you don't know yet, is the imagination, is the fantasy. And the one you know too well, it's when we lose desire because we think we know so much about them. And so I think we need to create situation where we can meet our lover as we never met them before. And push their response and their identity, you know, like they can show up now like someone else. And imagine you don't know anything about each other.
That's awesome.
I love it. I
Yeah.
think it's fun. I always like to pretend that I didn't know my husband when we would go out to like clubs and bars. And my ex-husband, he probably remembers this if he's watching, and we would go meet up at the bar and just have this whole night of pretending it was our first date. It was so fun.
Yeah.
And we'd have the
Isn't that
best time.
fantastic?
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And sometimes one of my teacher was suggesting to play this game that while I'm waiting for my partner, I'm in the bar and I'm flirting with everybody that is there. And the moment that my partner come, I completely focus on him or her. And so that I also create the dynamic in the space of everybody would notice who's this one that just arrived. So that also you remember, you recreate this intense tension, and that you are the most beautiful of all, you know, that you are the one that gets my all attention, that, yeah, I was flirting with everybody until you came. And now all my attention is absolutely there. And I think these are fun games. Or pretend, you know, change identity and create different identity for a moment, and let the alter ego also to express the one we would like to be, and that we feel we can never be in a relationship. You know, sometimes also what happened that when you are with someone and they know you so well, and this happened also with a family member, we tend to show up in the same way, in the way they know us. This also happened with father and mother, you know, like if you go visit your father, no matter how old you are, oftentimes we show up in our childlike personality because that's how they know us, and we want to offer them familiarity. And so in relationship, we tend to show up in the same way because we don't want to disrupt the known and the familiar. And sometimes playing this game are quite a revelation because other aspects of the being suddenly come up, and maybe you discover your lover like this other one even more than the one you were until this moment. And they're very curious to know your secret desires, and you know, it creates a new curiosity. And that's the spark for eroticism. There needs to be curiosity and a sense of mystery.
So that's beautiful. I love it so much. I have a couple of questions, but I just want to say that the alter ego thing is just so golden because you know that we teach about the alter ego in the courses at London Real and how important it is to achieving your success and actualizing on your goals. But you can also use an alter ego to actualize on your bedroom goals, right? So if your marriage is starting to feel a little bit boring, or it's the same repetitive motions, you know, some ways to create that alter ego might be wearing a blonde wig and a different outfit, and telling them you have a different name and really embodying into that character and really showing up for him or her as someone else. Like if you're a woman, it's easy to do like a blonde wig or a brown wig or a different outfit than use something that you would normally wear. But you fellas can do it too. You guys can change up your hairstyle. You guys can
Yeah.
change your style of clothing, change the
Put fake
cologne you wear,
mustaches,
put
change style. I mean, I'm
right?
so
You can change
envious
up,
of
you can
men with
manscape and
beard.
you
Beard
can
and mustaches, they can
Yeah.
change so much.
yep, you can become more hairless.
Yes, wear
Manscape
glasses.
up a bit, put some of that. So there's, you can totally Clark Kent it up, right? And change it up for your lady, and it'll be equally as exciting for her. So
Yeah.
my question is this, Valentina. Okay, so we talked about dancing in the dark and experiencing this erotic sensations in the dark where you can't see, which is fun. But what about with the lights on? Would you suggest maybe adding a mirror into the bedroom and having some of these experiences with the lights on where you can see yourself? Like, what would you suggest about that kind of thing?
I think all is welcome. It's like I think we should do a little bit of everything, in the light, in the dark. And so if someone, as long as they don't become habit for pleasure. So once I remember in my 20s, I had a boyfriend that needed to have a mirror in order to peak in his pleasure. And that
Oh,
Mm.
is not freeing anymore.
no,
That
no.
becomes an addiction almost. But I remember that for me as a young woman was the first time that I was exposed to the mirror. And it was a tremendous turn on. I would have never even imagined to put a mirror in the room. And so if someone have never tried that, I absolutely recommend that. The mirror is beautiful to see yourself. But also if you have harsh judgment about yourself, there is the risk that also all of that can come up. While you're looking at yourself in the mirror, you can't let go of judging yourself. That's why I suggest also to my student in the practice we were saying before, we eye gaze and then we stroke, then we hold each other with love. And then we self-pleasure in the mirror by ourselves, looking at ourselves, looking at our genital, how they look like when they're aroused, how they change. The yoni change a lot when she's aroused, and we often as women don't have this opportunity to see it. It's not so obvious like a man erection. And so women get used to the changes in their body, and also to have the moment of peak orgasm is to engage in eyesight with yourself. And so this helps to relax with your body form and shape in the mirror. And then to bring it with the lover can be great fun, absolutely. And if you do this practice already, if you use the mirror and you are in the light, some time to be in complete darkness, but real darkness, with not even a stream of light, where you don't know what is up and down. If you can be in a complete dark room, it's also absolutely amazing to explore sexually there, because then the senses are so enhanced, and because the eyes, the sense of sight, is not activated. And I think sometimes it's quite useful for men as well, that they are quite dependent on the sight for their arousal, so they can start to expand their ability to feel throughout the whole body and not just by using the sense of sight. And then sound can become so erotic, in the darkness, because you don't know where it comes from. And so, yeah, I mean, to be playful, to become a 6-year-old exploring each other body with no moral, with no judgment of right and wrong. And one of my teachers always say that true sexuality belongs to the children. And it's probably true, because, when we childlike, we are all about exploring, and sexuality should be that. And so often we are so goal-oriented or romantically oriented, and we forgot all about having fun and exploring and paint each
Wow.
other toenails.
What do you think about that, Gloria? Especially the bit about the dark, because you have experience, but it's not in a good way of being in the dark. So, how would that make you feel having that kind of experience?
That experience is very like exactly what she described, because your senses are shutting down. You're not using your sense. You are in there in the darkness, and and then when you start being by yourself in the darkness, then you don't see darkness. Then you see like the shape of your body, and it's like something like weird happens to you, like you glow, and then you start not seeing so much dark. So what Valentina said about having with another person in the dark, it must be amazing, because it's just the most intimate moment that you are not exposed to anything, to any distraction, and it's just like just a complete like a unit, and it must be fun.
I was going to say, that sounds fun.
And I think you nail it there, Gloria. That's the essence of everything, to not to have distraction. I think that's the best way to celebrate being with each other. So not going out, not bragging about my Valentine, not taking selfies, not showing off, but really
Yes.
be into each other, avoid all that distraction, and really culture the tenderness and the delicacy of giving completely to another. I think that's the most beautiful gift that one could
And no churrasco
give.
with potatoes before anything.
And no mariachi band.
No, 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 no. Give me a like a rum and chocolate.
Yes,
You know me,
totally.
champagne and strawberries.
Me, whatever, rum, tequila. Let's do it.
That's a good life. This is a good
Yeah.
life. So, well, we are at 1 hour now, right, Gloria? And
Yes.
this conversation has been amazing. Do you have any more questions before we go, Gloria?
Well, I don't have questions, but yeah, I have one. Where people can find you, and what exactly you're doing now to help people to resolve problems with the intimacy, with the relationship with them.
So I mainly teach traditional tantra, which explore practices to become intimate with reality. And then when you learn this intimacy, it's a beautiful celebration to share it with your beloved. And in this tradition, we see sexuality as a celebration of cosmic freedom, not as a place of shame and contraction, but actually as a place to celebrate our embodiment in our life. And of course, you know, we are all recovering from religious
Yeah.
influences and education. And so it takes time, and we can be patient.
Again,
We'll give her a second.
like you said, take patience.
Take patience.
Be patient.
We're going to be very patient with our darling Valentina, of course.
Okay. And so I've got a Tantra school called the Tantra School of Erotic Wisdom. And you can find it on Facebook. You've got a link right there. And there is also a website, eroticwisdom.org, but we're still building the content for the website. And so long, they can find me on my website, thelaboratoryoflove.com. And since COVID, I've been doing a lot of online teaching. And there is some online courses that are planned for this year. And some that are already passed, and then people that are interested, they can purchase the recording of the online event. And we just did now in January a weekend immersion for lovers called the Yoga of Sex, where we're looking at sexuality from the yogic point of view as a practice. And so it's only, I think we've got 5 calls, so it's 3 main video. So 3 days of practice, and the idea that you watch the video and then you practice on your own, and your partner does the same, and then you do the practice to each other or with each other. So that first is very important you establish this love affair with self, and then you share it with the other. And so they can find this under my online event on my website.
That could be a gift. That could be a gift for Valentine's Day for someone.
I think that
Yeah.
sounds like an amazing gift.
Yeah, thank you. I
Yeah.
haven't
For
thought about it,
yourself,
actually.
both of you. It's a gift for both of you.
It's a gift for both of you. Yeah. Yeah. And, sometimes also to create conversation and to put you a little bit in the deep end. And then if you do it together as lovers, it's fun. It's
Yeah.
maybe a bit edgy, but it creates a lot of conversation and deepens the relating. It's fun. So yeah, highly recommend that. That's a good practice for Valentine, to do some yoga of sex, definitely.
Exactly. Like if you want to like check something different for your girlfriend or boyfriend, just register in the laboratory of love, and next Valentine Day you guys gonna be like a masters and practicing what you guys have.
I think
Yeah.
we might be saving marriages.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right? What you
perhaps.
got going on during the pandemic? You in lockdown again. Here's
We
a way
are,
to make it.
yes. Transform your relationship. Use lockdown for
Mhm.
uplifting
Of
your life instead of going into anxiety. It's a
of
great
course.
opportunity to self-retreat. And absolutely.
I prefer to die in pleasure.
Yes,
Girl,
me too.
a
They
thousand
do,
percent.
and they do say that sex is a little death, no?
Right.
So hail to dying. Sometimes it's so much easier than living.
Be afraid of it. That's what Julian told me, by the way. Shout out to
Yes.
Julian for turning up today. We love you so
Yes. We
much.
love you. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, this is amazing. Everything like what we talk about today, about special, trying to look into yourself and enjoy yourself. That's not always a penetration you need to have to enjoy the sexual life. Sexual life start with you, like Valentina say in the beginning, and we start having kids and a sex act, and it continues. So, like you said in the beginning, why we shame our kids or why we shame everything about sex when it's so natural and fun
Yeah,
and
yeah,
fun.
yeah. And we should keep it going. We're shaming the elder to be sexual also. And
Yeah.
I think I'm tired of having grumpy grandfathers and grandmother,
I
that
mean,
blissful grandparents.
there's so many things to help you these days too, especially here with the legalization of THC and marijuana. Like so, and I
Mm,
mean sexually. So our friend April Pride from How to Do the Pot Smokers Guide for Women, is doing a whole special this week on things that you can use to help your sexual life, like the lubricants that they have these days for senior ladies to help them enjoy pleasure more so that you can be still getting it in your 90s. Your partner can keep going until you're done going. Okay, so there's a lot out there. Just do the research to find the things that work for you to help you enhance your pleasure and get that energy moving. It's creative energy. And another thing that I love that you said, both of you actually, gorgeous ladies, and it's that it begins with you and self love. Number one, before you even get to sexually, is what's going to make your relationships better all around you. That finding that love for yourself and treating yourself with that tenderness and that intimacy and that respect and that adoration will enhance every relationship in your life. And then when you add the pleasurable aspect of that, of being intimate with yourself, just in it beginning with you and then sharing that with your partner, if you both do that, I'm talking, we're saving relationships today is what we're doing, if
and
you're
saving
listening.
lives,
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
lives of human
Exactly.
beings. I often
yeah.
think that
Oh, we lost
sometimes
him.
we are too focused on the relationship aspect, and we forget the people that comprise the relationship. And that's when the relationship crumble. There is no more person. The people are not there. Their heart is not tender. So I think it's really important that we claim our love first. And then if we are balanced and happy people, the relationship will reflect that anyway.
Right. I have one more question before we go. When a boy or a girl, we can start talking about sex, about pleasure, about their bodies. What is the age that you need to start talking to your kids?
I think from the beginning, there is no, it's the same point. If you
Right.
acknowledge that they are born out of a sacred gesture, there's nothing that they shouldn't be knowing, because it's the truth of life. And often it's the opposite. When we don't talk about it, kids create stories. When they ask, where do I come from? And everybody and don't know the answer. I mean, it could be really traumatizing for a child to think that they must come from a really terrible place because no one wants to talk about it. There must be something wrong with the place where they come from.
Right.
And instead, you can start from the beginning. I always have this beautiful story for very little one that daddy loved mommy so much that wanted to go inside her. He didn't have enough of the beautiful expression of her being, but he wanted to know her heart. And in order to find her heart, had to enter her. And so he put his body inside her body. And in the lovemaking, when they reach and express a drop of juice from his body inside the body of the mother. And that's the juice of his love that comes from his heart. And if you think about it, the ejaculation, it's it's a fluid that comes out of a contraction of the body and is the essence of the being. And so you can tell them it's the essence of his heart, his love, and he placed it inside in the warm, in the dark, inside the mother womb. And then you were made and you were tendered and cared. And so you have both your love of your father, the seed of the father, and the nourishing body of your mother. And you were made like this. And when you were ready, you came out of the yoni of your mother, the same way, love came in, and the alchemy of the body of a woman transformed that into a human being. And that's where you came out. So, there are many stories that you can
That's
tell by
beautiful.
telling the truth. This is the truth. And it's very tender, and it's acceptable for children. They'll understand this because they've seen women with the big tummy and they know they're growing a baby inside. One time there was a pregnant woman on the airplane, and I told my daughter, she was 4 or 5, and I said, look, there is a baby in the tummy of this woman. She's making a baby in her tummy, I said. And my daughter looked at me and said, Mom, what are you talking about? Babies are made in the heart. And so they know it. She knew it. And I thought, you're right. First is love. So you're made in the heart. Sex, I always say that sex begins in the heart. So the act of sex is an expression of the heart. And so you can, from the very beginning, the sooner you start, I think, the more relaxed they will be with this idea of making love and penetrating bodies.
And it will be more healthier children in the future about this part that's very
Well, hopefully
important.
they'll be more relaxed about their own desire, that when they desire to
Exactly.
be inside someone else's body, they don't think there is anything wrong or sinful. They understand that is deep love. You love someone so much, you want to enter the fabric of their being. It's a beautiful desire to have, And of course, you don't need to impose it. You ask permission before you enter, and you can explain this to children also. And but
Right.
I always say, speaks the truth from the beginning. Make it simple. We complicate life so much, and that's what created this connection.
Exactly. So, any more questions, my dear Kia? Because we
I
need to wrap
think
it up.
I think it's time to wrap it up. We have taken up so much of your time, Valentina, and I know that you are already on a erotic retreat. So we should
Yes,
let you go.
yes,
But,
exactly.
I appreciate you so much. It's always a pleasure to connect to your energy. I can't
Yes, thank
already
you.
wait until the next time. Thank you for coming.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I feel like in this moment that I want to send you the recording of the yoga of sex as my Valentine gift to each of you. And I would like for you to engage with it. And maybe next time we talk, you can tell me about it. How did you find
Yes,
it? How was the
Absolutely.
practice?
absolutely.
And we can take it from there.
Of course. I will
Oh,
be I
yay.
will be a very good student.
Okay,
Top of the
fantastic.
class.
Thank you so much for
Awesome.
spending your time with me.
No, thank
Ciao.
you.
You're
Ciao.
so loved.
Ciao, my
Ciao.
love. Ciao. Uy. Wow.
I feel like that helped a lot of people.
Yeah. Help a
Yeah.
lot of people to find out what they're gonna give to the other person.
Make their Valentine's Day and every day just a little bit more pleasurable and lovely. So,
Exactly. You can say, my love, I'm gonna send you to the laboratory of love where they're gonna teach you how to love me.
or I'm going to the laboratory of love
I
and then I'm
love
going to teach you how
how
to love
to,
me.
exactly. Oh, how I like to be loved.
Yeah, how I like to be loved. I think that's good.
Yeah, that one is good one. And of course, no churrasco, no
Or steak,
papas, or no sancocho
fried chicken.
before anything.
We're a light picnic. I think a
Right.
picnic is a good start.
Maybe sushi. Maybe a
Light,
little sushi.
light, very light.
Very
Fruit.
light. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Or
like in the days of Rome. It's
exactly.
a fruit. Melon, some melon.
You put two melons.
I got your melons right here.
Here, you want two melons, baby?
I got them. You can't see them, but there's melons.
Right. Big melons.
You already know. Well, you've seen
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
So, what a fun episode. And
yeah. Yes.
tomorrow we have a fun episode too. So stay
Yes.
tuned because our little sister from Mexico, Anna Monroy, is going to join us and we're going to talk about sacred sex.
Yes.
So if you want to know more about that, then you should tune in tomorrow night at our time, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific time for the US. And if you're in Europe and that's past your bedtime, well, or it's too early in the morning, well, you can always watch the replay on our Hot Topics Live Facebook page or our new YouTube channel. So it's Hot Topics Live on YouTube. So if you want to listen, then you'll have to wait for the podcast. So you can check out Hot Topics, the podcast. And as always, follow us on Instagram at Hot Topics, the podcast. Me personally, my personal page at Creativity, or Gloria's personal page, if you fancy Gloria. That's Gloria Gold 1111. I know many of you do. I see your messages in our Hot Topics direct mail. So if you do, you can follow her there and check out her amazing stories because they are so awesome and they happen every day. So thank you so much for tuning in. Remember to like, share, and subscribe if you are on YouTube watching. If you're on Facebook, like, share, follow, leave us a message. Hashtag replay, right, Gloria? If you're watching the
Yes.
replay, and tell us
Yes.
where you are, because this is a global
Exactly.
show, and we like
This
to
is a
do an
global
energy
show.
check-in.
This is a global show, of course.
So, and I guess with that, we'll wrap it up, right? I am
Yes.
Kia Baker. I am the host and creator of the Female Veterans Podcast. So tell a female veteran or any woman really. It's good stuff. And Women Warrior Stories for the Veterans Channel, theveteranschannel.com, and success coach at London Real Academy. And as always, I am joined by the loveliest, sexiest, most entertaining woman I have ever known.
Gloria Goldberg. Thank you,
Who
my
else?
dear. Thank you, my dear, for that presentation always. Well, like she said, Gloria Goldberg, the founder of the podcast Unbreakable Life with Glory, where I talk about depression, anxiety, and PTSD in a holistic way and natural way to always make you feel better. And also the bilingual and also the host and the founder of the bilingual show, The Gloria, where I talk about depression, anxiety, PTSD as well. And it's every Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, one Friday in Spanish, one Friday in English. And this Friday, I have a singer from Argentina that he got 20K views and downloads for his new song. So he's coming to my show on Friday. So I'm so
Wow,
happy
that's
for that.
exciting.
Yes.
It's gonna be a
Gustavo
great one.
Flow. Yeah. So
Wow, amazing.
that's it. Let's wrap it up. Thank you so much. And like Kia said, hashtag replay. And I love you all. See you tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Bye bye.